Welcome to The Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
So this week, we're digging into a whole stack of sources, all focused on India's last week or so.
Yeah, a real mix: articles, reports, insights.
Exactly, covering everything from, sports to geopolitics. Our mission really is just to unpack these bits of info quickly.
Give you that shortcut.
Right. A shortcut to understanding some pretty significant developments.
And whether you're interested in, say, Indian cricket's future, or maybe air travel safety,
Or clean energy.
or clean energy, yeah, or the big diplomatic moves, we've pulled out the key takeaways.
We'll try to connect the dots, explore what it all actually means.
Let's jump in.
Okay, kicking off, cricket. There's this comeback story our sources are highlighting. Rishabh Pant
Yes, his return.
and that knock against England. What's the wider significance there beyond just the runs?
Well, the sources really emphasize it's not just an individual thing, it's about resilience.
After that serious injury he had.
Exactly. So his performance, it's seen as a huge boost for the team's morale, could signal a shift maybe in strategy.
An aggressive edge, perhaps?
Provides that aggressive edge, yeah. Especially important with big tournaments coming up. It really shows how one player's story can kind of, reflect the whole team's spirit.
Interesting. Okay, shifting gears now to something that affects a lot of us.
Yeah,
Air travel.
right.
Our sources mention a probe by the DGCA, that's India's aviation regulator, looking into Air India. What are the main concerns driving this?
Well, the investigation essentially asks this really critical question. Are Indian skies truly safe?
Wow, okay.
The sources suggest it comes from worries about operational standards, maybe maintenance issues.
And connecting that to the bigger picture.
It just highlights how vital these regulatory bodies like the DGCA are. Their oversight is key for public safety, maintaining trust.
Trust in the whole system.
Exactly. Trust in national infrastructure. It's bigger than just one airline. It impacts the reputation of the whole aviation sector.
Makes sense. Now, here's something really interesting. A huge leap in India's clean energy sector.
Yeah, that 56% number.
A 56% rise in just 10 years. That's quite something. How are the sources explaining that growth?
It's not just a random statistic, that's for sure. It shows a massive, deliberate shift.
So policy-driven.
Very much so. The sources detail aggressive government policies, huge investments, particularly in solar and wind,
And manufacturing, too.
and a growing domestic manufacturing base for renewables. Economically, this really puts India on the map for global climate action.
Right. Like a model, almost.
Potentially showing a path for other developing nations, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, green jobs, less reliance on fossil fuels.
Yeah.
It supports India's energy independence goal.
It's a compelling story of balancing growth and sustainability.
Definitely.
Okay, let's move to high-level diplomacy now. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval's recent visit to China.
Always significant.
What were the key issues on the table there? Why does this visit matter?
Well, the sources say it focused on some really complex, high-stakes stuff. Counterterrorism cooperation was discussed.
And the border issues, presumably.
Absolutely. The ongoing border disputes that have, strained relations, and just broader regional stability in Asia.
It's that intricate dance between major powers.
It really is. It highlights the complex strategic interests, sometimes overlapping, often conflicting. The fact these talks are even happening at this level.
Yeah.
That itself shows the constant, delicate balancing act needed to manage such a critical relationship.
Right, even without immediate big breakthroughs.
Precisely.
Okay, finally, let's look at Operation Sindhu. Our sources call this a really strong example of India's soft power.
Yes, it's a fascinating case.
What exactly happened, and why is it seen as soft power?
So, Operation Sindhu involved the Indian Navy evacuating Indian citizens from Iran, basically amid regional tensions.
Okay, humanitarian assistance.
Exactly. It's not about military might in the traditional sense or economic pressure. It's about showing capability and willingness to help its citizens ensure their safety, even in tough spots.
And that builds goodwill.
Immense goodwill, according to the sources. It enhances India's international image, projects responsibility, its influence through action and assistance, not just hard power.
Capability and compassion, maybe?
That's a good way to put it.
So, wrapping this up, what does it all mean? We've gone from a cricket pitch comeback to complex global diplomacy.
A real snapshot of a dynamic week.
Shows India evolving on multiple fronts, doesn't it?
It really does. And when you take these seemingly separate things, the cricket, the aviation probe, that clean energy surge, the diplomacy, Operation Sindhu,
Yeah.
Together, they paint this vivid picture of a nation changing fast, both at home and on the world stage.
So the question for you, listening, to think about is this.
How might all these interconnected developments, the sports, the safety checks, the green shift, the diplomatic moves, how might they shape India's path forward and maybe influence its role in the world in the years to come?